morning, everyone. Let's go ahead and get started with the briefing. If you want to come in closer, if you're better, that'd be great. The incident objectives have not changed, and so we'll just jump right into an update on the situation with Operations Jeff France.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, we're still chugging away. Last night we had a new detection. We have a new fire located on an IR map flight up here that we'll be addressing. It's indicated to be a couple acres. Right at the branch 1-4 boundary. So we're identifying that as a priority to go recon that and determine what's going on out there. We did have some problems yesterday down on Sugarloaf. We had 2 slopovers, one about 10 acres, one about 1 acre. They are both contained, and we are actively engaged in holding on to Sugarloaf. That is pretty much where we are at. We want to hold what we have, keep engaging the Hardy, Middle, Lost Pipe area. That is a priority for us, along with the Red Mountain and the Cliff, Mallow, Sugarloaf area. So today, we are going to potentially get some fire behavior if one of these comes out. I'd like to leave you with this. Base all actions on current expected fire behavior. Thank you. Be safe out there.
Well, if you liked yesterday's heat, you were absolutely going to love today. We're looking for record-breaking temperatures here locally in Ukiah. The old record was 109, I believe that was 109, right? And looking for about 112, 113 here today, maybe even 114. So obviously it's going to be very hot. We are also going into a red flag warning this afternoon, but in all honesty, prior to 4 p.m., which is the active time of that red flag warning, we're going to be near red flag conditions, by 1 o'clock today with this heat, and critically low RHs by this afternoon. Last night we saw very poor RH recovery widespread, especially along the ridge tops and above the thermal belt, where we were only seeing about 15 to 20%. So we're looking for an extremely dry day. And the valleys got a little bit better recovery, but again, they'll fall down to single digits this afternoon. So really the main theme is critically dry today, very hot. Fortunately, the winds are not going to be extremely strong. We're looking at basically transitioning from a downslope, light easterly component this morning, and going back to our typical west or northwest winds in the afternoon, but not very strong, about upslope or northwest 3 to 5. And a few gusts to 10 maybe in the afternoon. And we might get a little help from the smoke. However, it does look a little better to me, at least on the satellite this morning. So again, without too much smoke, look for very hot, very dry conditions. And about the same for tomorrow too, folks.
All right, good morning, folks. You heard it, hot and dry. Red flag warnings going into effect today. Please drive that home to your firefighters, what that has the potential to mean as we go into this. Expect your initially, we've got northwesterly flow on most of the ridge lines, very, very light. So it tends to be pushing your fires down to your southwest. As things continue through the day, you can expect to see that come around to the more standard northwesterly flow on the ridges. While we're getting down in the valleys, essentially downslope, down canyons in the morning, that'll turn around once you get the heat of the day, upslope, up canyon. Pretty standard stuff. Expect your active burning periods throughout the fire, starting really to get going about 1,400 hours today. You expect to see that carry through to about 1,900 tonight. But with the red flags coming in and everything like that, you may see that period extending much later in the day. And if you're in the thermal belts, up in the upper third of the slope, where you're not going to get very good humidity recovery at all tonight, you expect to see active burning conditions continuing all night. In the coastal area, if you're working in the timber out there, look for spotting out about 500 feet plus, and your probability of ignition about 59%. If you get competent embers landing in receptive fuels, you will have spot fires in the timber. As you get to the interior timber areas, expect your spotting distances about 560 feet, and your probability of ignition 79%. If you get competent embers going into your fuels, you're going to have spot fires. In the brush, probability of ignition of 100%. Spotting distance about 450 feet. So definitely keep your heads up if you're working in the brush and that brush starts taking off on you. So, our energy release components, burning indexes, all that stuff is staying about the same, coming up a little bit from yesterday. So again, things are cooking pretty good in here. West of US 101, when you're in those areas, you expect the interior islands are really starting to heat up and take off. If you got heat in those, they're going to start burning very actively, and these fuels are continuing to dry out here as these conditions go. So something that wasn't quite as receptive yesterday may be more and better receptive today, and so that is going to continue to increase. Again, your thermal belt images or issues, especially in the upper slopes, you'll see those on the coast. And if you're working on the ridge lines out here, your conditions are going to be pretty adverse through most of the shift until the nighttime. But even then, with the thermal belt, you can expect to have some relatively adverse conditions on the ridges, favorable down in the valleys and lower portions with upslope winds. So that's going to be your best working operations. East of Highway 101, as the smoke clears in those areas, fire behavior is going to become aggressive. So your fine fuel moistures in those areas are going to be down to about 2%. Doesn't get much drier than that, folks. Spotting common. So once you get stuff really cranking up and lofting, those embers are going to be starting to spot fires. You need to be really watching for heavy column development where something is really starting to cook down there. That's an indicator that you may have some extreme fire behavior that's about to set onto you. Aviation, you may have some challenges with aviation today. The smoke is setting in hard. Aviation assets may be limited to you. That's going to depend on where you're at, just where those winds are coming from. But basically, if you need aviation, you expect to have a little bit better success about 1400 to 1500 when the smoke starts to clear out. When that smoke starts to clear out, though, that's when the fire is going to start to get up and move on you. And the safety message is you got red flag conditions.